Welcome, viewers, to Bodhi Unified Flow. Here we simplify complexity and amplify performance. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today for a deeply impactful explainer. Today, we're focusing our lens on a really critical topic, the Last Planner System Foundations, specifically number 7, level 5. We're talking about daily huddles, the did phase, and the whole philosophy of rapid learning and adjustment. If you've ever felt like your site execution gets completely disconnected from the master schedule, well, this is exactly where we bridge that gap. Okay, let's dive into our agenda for today. First, defining the daily huddle. Second, the 5 standardized questions. Third, tracking PPC and RNC. Fourth, rapid learning and adjustment. And finally, our summary and references. But before we get into the weeds, let's quickly look at what you're actually going to get out of this session. By the end of our time together, you'll master the physical mechanics of level 5 daily huddles. You're not just going to understand the 5 standardized huddle questions, you'll be able to practically apply them. You'll know exactly how to track your percent planned complete and your reasons for nonconformance. And honestly, most importantly, you'll learn how to implement rapid post-huddle adjustments to fiercely protect and maintain your production flow out on the site. All right, let's kick things off with section 1, defining the daily huddle. What is a daily huddle? So what is it exactly? A daily huddle is a rapid 15-minute standing-only meeting that takes place every single morning right out on the site. It's for daily coordination and problem solving, and it represents the did phase of the last planner system. Now, who's actually involved here? It's the last planners themselves. These are the people closest to the actual execution of the work. We're talking about your trade foreman, your site superintendents, or your design leads. Essentially, the individuals who actually possess the authority to assign resources and make binding promises to one another. Now, think about your traditional site meetings for a second. The ones. They're often incredibly lengthy, they happen infrequently, maybe just once a week, and frankly, they frequently become totally disconnected from the day-to-day realities of field execution. Now compare that to the LPS daily huddles. We enforce a strict 15-minute time limit. How do we do that? Through a standing-only format. And because it happens daily, it efficiently distributes and gathers crucial real-time information, things like upcoming deliveries or sudden production disruptions, and it completely empowers your frontline expertise. And this brilliantly illustrates a core philosophy of the system. Visual management makes the project's central nervous system visible to all. I just love that phrase. To make these 15-minute huddles effective, we don't just stand around in an empty room. The meeting is physically anchored by visual tools. Think of laminated floor plans and public boards posted right there where the huddle actually happens. This ensures that every single foreman and superintendent can instantly see the big picture. They know the real-time status of the project and they see exactly how their trade overlaps with everyone else. Moving right along to section 2, the 5 standardized questions, implementing an action-oriented agenda. Look, if you're going to keep a meeting under 15 minutes with multiple trades, you literally cannot have an open-ended chat. It's just not going to work. The meeting has to follow a strict, action-oriented agenda. Every participant must answer these 5 standardized questions. Number 1, what is the exact task you're doing today? Number 2, in what exact physical location? Number 3, what are your current constraints? Number 4, with how many people? And number 5, which is super important, what was done yesterday. This is not a time for storytelling, guys. This is rapid-fire, precise communication. So, what's the actual payoff here? What tangibly happens when we answer these 5 questions every morning? Well, the outcomes are incredibly powerful for your site coordination. First, yesterday's promises are reviewed and tallied right then and there. If there are any last-minute changes to the plan, drawings are quickly reviewed with the superintendent. Teams and specific responsibilities are made crystal clear. For instance, this is exactly where your decking foremen communicate directly with the riggers, handing over a precise list of picks for the day. Furthermore, lead foremen can actively divert material flows to ensure we don't end up with cluttered decks, preserving ample space to work safely. But you might be wondering, how do we know if all this daily coordination is actually working? How do we turn these quick conversations into hard, actionable data? Which brings us to section 3, tracking PPC and RNC, metrics of success. Now, what's really interesting here is the strictness of this formula. This is the percent planned complete, or PPC. It measures our planning reliability by simply taking the number of completed commitments and dividing it by the total number of planned commitments. But here is the absolute golden rule of PPC. Nothing but 100% completed tasks count. Seriously, if a trade finishes 95% of what they promised yesterday, for the purposes of PPC, it is a 0. It goes down as a variance. This strictness is exactly what forces us to remove constraints before we ever make a promise. So, when a task isn't 100% complete, it triggers our second vital metric, RNC, or reasons for nonconformance. When a promise is missed, we rigorously log, chart, and trend the exact reason why. Was it a late delivery? Were the trades unprepared? Our goal here is to reduce variations by targeting the reasons with the highest occurrences. And look, this isn't about pointing fingers or blaming individuals. It's entirely about continuous improvement. By mathematically identifying and solving our most frequent systemic values, we continuously improve both our planning effectiveness and our overall execution efficiency.
Let's jump into Section 4, Rapid Learning and Adjustment Post-Huddle Execution.
Gathering data is wonderful, but let's be honest, data without action is just trivia. So what happens the moment that 15-minute huddle ends? The absolutely crucial point is this. The huddle is practically useless if the project team doesn't reserve the time to actually fix the constraints that were just identified. Take the 1-hour rule, for example. This is a real game changer. Highly successful projects implement a strict rule where nobody in the project organization is allowed to schedule any appointments until 1 hour after the daily huddle. This ensures management has the immediate prioritized time to right-size the workforce based on the huddle data and determine corrective measures before any tact area handover is disrupted. You absolutely have to solve the identified issues right away.
And doing this creates what we call the continuous improvement loop. Think of it as a highly focused, endless cycle. You look at your RNC data, you find the number one reason for delays this month. Let's say it's late material deliveries. Okay, you implement rapid adjustments to solve it. As those occurrences drop, well, a new reason will naturally rise to the top of the chart, right? Teams must then immediately retarget those new highest occurrence reasons. It's basically an endless scientific hunt for the next bottleneck, powered entirely by the rapid learning generated in your daily huddles. Finally, Section 5, Summary and References. Wrapping up.
Looking back at our initial goals, we've successfully defined the did phase of the last planner system, establishing the strict parameters of that 15-minute standing-only daily coordination. We've walked through the 5 standardized huddle questions that guarantee swift alignment between trades. We explored exactly how strict PPC tracking and charting your RNCs drive genuine continuous improvement. And finally, we highlighted why immediate post-huddle action, like that awesome 1-hour roll, is absolutely necessary to maintain your production flow.
You'll find the specific research papers, proceedings, and foundational documents we drew upon today to construct this framework listed here. I highly encourage you to check them out if you want to deepen your understanding of lean construction methodologies. But before you do that, I want to leave you with one final provocative question. When you step onto your site tomorrow morning, what is the single biggest constraint preventing you from implementing a strict 15-minute standing huddle to amplify your team's performance? Identify it, remove it, and start amplifying your flow. Thank you for joining me on Bodhi Unified Flow. Until next time, keep simplifying complexity.